Sounds good.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining me. I'm the Crafty Yarnista, and I will bring you up to speed on some of the projects that I've been working on, some that I'm going to start, some yarn acquisition that has made its way into the house, and a couple other items of note. So let's go ahead and get started. It's been a rather hot and humid summer here in the Midwest. So a lot of opportunity to stay inside and knit. In the past 2 days, we've probably had 11 inches of rain, along with a rather substantial hailstorm. And so I do not enjoy hot and humid weather, and so I have been able happily to stay inside in air conditioning and work on some projects. But I do hope that wherever you are at, watching this, that you are safe. I know that unfortunately portions of the country have had it worse than we have with flash flooding and loss of life, and so thoughts for anyone impacted by that. I have, as I said, I've been busy knitting, and so I'll show you a couple of things that I have gotten off of the needles. And the first one of those is the knit-along that was based off of the TV show Only Murders in the Building with Steve Martin and Martin Short. I've got a little piece of the project there on inset, but I have finished it except for weaving in the ends, which you will note are hanging off of the side. As I said before, I don't think that I would have picked these exact same colors. They were from the tricycle yarn from Stephen West. It was a little bit difficult to pick them online, and not totally thrilled with the color selection. And the parts that I was concerned about, where there's unique construction here on the edges, I have relatively blocked out straight, and so I had a little bit less of an issue with that. But still a fair number of ends to weave in on that project. And there's a close-up of some of the fun stitches that were included in the knit-along project. The second project that I finished up back here was the sliding squares, and that is a mosaic pattern that I did in a scarf, and that was using up a Halloween advent. Malia made it, and it was her Monsters Inc. were the colors. And then I used for the dark purple an ultraviolet color that I picked up at Sheep and Wool last year for the contrast. It was pretty fun. The pattern does have one or two small mistakes. There's nothing in terms of stitch count. It's nothing huge. It may throw a newbie for a little bit of a pause, but I think it's something that they can quickly overcome. The real challenge in this is to figure out how you're going to use those colors. I did mine such that each color was used for a main block on the way up, and then a smaller square block on the way down. So that way each color was used in both a large pattern and a small pattern. Did pretty well for using up. I think I had 10 skeins that I used to do this, along with one main skein for that dark purple. So it was pretty fun, and I think it turned out to be a good length. I think you can wear it doubled over. I may actually keep this one for myself, which is kind of unusual for those of you who have been following me for a while. Some other projects that I've been doing, a group of friends and I are trying to get some dishcloths created for a donation that we want to have ready for the first week in November. So I've created some little scrubbies with my smaller Addy Express, which are kind of fun. I did one with, it's actually the same, except I used that scrubby fuzzy material and just changed how I bound off the ends of the tube. And then I've also been doing, as I said, practicing some crochet. There's a shawl pattern that I would like to do with the whirl and whirlette, and I wanted to get a little bit more comfortable with crochet. I don't do it very often, mostly for ends or things like that. So I did a little half double crochet, and this is an alternating pattern of single and double crochet. And I'll probably do some more. It's a nice summer project. It's something easy and quick if you just kind of need a no-brainer break. One of the other projects that I have been working on is my gnome knit-along, the Professor Fungi. And I've made really good progress. Pardon me. He's a cute little mushroom. I went and bought some wood pieces that I could use for a base. And I'm actually at this point in time trying to figure out whether I want to go ahead and add the beard and nose and turn him into a gnome, or whether I'm really enjoying having him on the shelf on the back as a mushroom and kind of thinking about what little collection or display I would make on the shelves behind me there. I'm also thinking of doing like a little paper crafted gnome house. So I, again, haven't figured out whether I'm going to convert him into a gnome or leave him as the mushroom, but either way, it was fun. I do think that Sarah Shearer has a gnome knit along in October that's supposed to be a pumpkin. I will probably do that one. I really enjoy knitting with the finer yarns and double point needles. I do not enjoy all of the piecing of the little piddly pieces, but the appeal of a new decoration for Halloween may have me signing up for the October project as well. Some friends and I found out about a promotion sale from Simply Socks. It's over the course of 3 months, July, August, and September, I believe. And every month you get 3 skeins of sock yarn sent to you along with some goodie bag, and the price was pretty reasonable. Because I have my sock machine, I'm always interested in sock yarn. And this month's yarn arrived this week. This is my favorite color. I really like that one, and I think it's going to turn into nice stripes. And then these are the other two. Obviously, a little less in love with the gray. However, in terms of having socks for a little bit more dress occasion or men. And then this one is closer to more of the active and opalish yarns that I use. But nevertheless, I think the colors are very pretty. What really made me smile when I opened the package, however, was the bag, which says, "I'm outdoorsy. I like knitting on patios." Coincidentally, I have a hand towel in the kitchen that says, "I'm outdoorsy. I like drinking wine on patios," and so I thought it was really cute that this kind of mirrored that same thought process, and I'm really happy with that. So a couple projects that I'm still working on. The hat for my husband is slowly taking shape. It's taking me longer than originally thought because I'm holding it up to a hat that he has rather than and likes, rather than being able to just follow a pre-written pattern. So it's going a bit slowly. Um, I have not picked up the Stephen West marled thundercloud blanket. I really don't want to sit underneath that with the temperatures that we're having, even being indoors. So it's in timeout for a little bit. And then I am working on the zipper sweater, the petite knits. I have the body done and I've actually picked up for the first sleeve. And so that is moving right along. But I did want to start something else. I decided that I pulled together a number of different skeins of soft yarn that I had. And I thought that I wanted to use them in some kind of a way to combine the colors because you have a bunch of these one-offs that I've purchased and I wanted to find a way to put them together in something in a cohesive fashion. I was really excited for this pattern. They have, this is by Wool and Pine. They have a DK version as well as a fingering weight version. I did a lot of studying of this pattern, and I don't want to give away the secret sauce, but you work a transition from one color to the next. And that is really almost more of a stranded knitting type of project. And I did a lot of studying of the pictures online, and the more and more I thought about that, I liked it less and less. The transition rows from one color to another are, close to 30 rows. And across the stitch pattern that they have you follow, there will be more and less of one color or another as you move through those 28 rows. So a couple things that I noticed in the projects that were there. And those are the transition rows, I should say. Then you will have sections of the sweater where it will just be a single color and not stranded with that other yarn held behind. As I started to look at the patterns on Ravelry, I noticed a couple things. First of all, the stitches start to line up under one another in those transition rows, and I did not like that look. If I did it, I would make sure to have an odd number of stitches so that rows of the transition that were the same did not stack. Another thing is that by having a different number of stitches, so perhaps, it's every other stitch and then maybe it goes to every 4 stitches or whatever it might be, you have a different gathering, right, or carry of the yarn. And I think that unless you're really paying attention, it would be quite easy to have a different amount of essentially contraction based upon the different stitch carries that you're doing. And I was able to see that in a number of the patterns that were posted on Ravelry. So for those reasons, although I really like the look of it, at this point in time, I didn't really want to dedicate the thought into modifying this in a way that I thought I would be happy with the finished project. So that left me thinking about other ways that a person could blend yarn. And the next one that jumped to mind is the Comfort Fade Party. And my thought here was to use Andrea Maury's concept for fading, which is based upon rows, not stitches within rows. So each row is only one color. And I did like that idea. Um, I was going to have to apply that math to a pattern that I liked. And again, I think I probably will, um, just not at the moment, in terms of wanting to sit down and put pencil to paper. So what I decided to do was city limits um, of and I will mispronounce her name, Tanis Lavali. Um, and again, it goes back to more of a marled concept, where throughout the entire sweater, you are using two yarns held together. Or that's what I'm doing. You can do it in just a single DK. Um, or two finger mills. Apologies for the interruption. And so I started on city limits a couple times. One of the features of this sweater is that the designer highlights the fact that it can be worn on either side, stockinette out or pearl bumps out. And I admit that I started the neck a couple times. Somehow something was not working right for me. And so I set the pattern aside. But I did like the idea of how she was using marled yarn. So what I wound up doing in the end is a pattern called Tea Cozy Cardigan. I'm using the marled technique and trying to think about how I will progress through the sweater but still save enough yarn for each arm to try and mimic the marling as I go through the body. So beginning stages of it, I will post the pattern on our next conversation. It's 18 stitches per 4 inches. I am on size 5 needles. Blending the colors is so far fun. It's a basic raglan, and I'm excited to see how it turns out. That's all for me today. Thank you for spending some of your day with me, and I hope the rest of it goes quite well for you. Thank you, and I'll see you in our next video.
Sounds good.